Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
So I have one verse here from Shastra, from scripture. It's Mother Yashoda speaking in a mood of separation from Krishna, in the mood of having been in Vrindavan when Krishna was married in Dwaraka, and he did the Griha Pradesh in Dwaraka, and she was not able to go because she was in Vrindavan. So it's a mood of separation. And then we have some notes from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati on the subject of Griha Pradesh. Yes, okay, let's see. Right, here we go. Vadana Kamalam Putrasyaham Nimilita Shashave Navataruni Marambon Mrishtam Naramyam Alokyam Abhinava Vatu Yuktam Chamum Naharyam Aveshayam Shirasi Kulisham Hantak Shiptam Swapalka Sutena May. And this is translation. Mother Yashoda is speaking. I have not seen the attractive, shining face of my son in his period of new youth, the late Kaishore period, after his childhood. I have not performed the Griha Pradesh of my son when he got married. Oh, Akrura has struck my head with a thunderbolt. It's a bit extraordinary. But that in terms of real Shastra, I mean particularly the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is what we read. So we are here in the house of Madhavananda Prabhu. There he is there, and his good wife, Madhavi Vijay, and their daughter. Is she here?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna. And, just one thing I can say, and I think it's sort of fairly obvious, is that this is a bit on the early side for doing Griha Pradesh. Normally it would be done later, when the family is actually moving in and, actually going to be living. It's going to take a little while before the house reaches that point. But anyway, we thought we should have a program because I won't be here till I'm not sure when, actually. It could be any time. But it may well be some number of months later, and they may be ready to enter the house may be ready to be lived in, and I may be a bit late, and we don't want them to have to wait. So anyway, let's just have a look here. Let me read the translation again. Mother Yashoda is speaking. I have not seen the attractive, shining face of my son, Lord Krishna, in his period of new youth, the late Kaishore period, after his childhood. I have not performed the Griha Pravesh of my son when he got married. As we mentioned, he got married later, in Dwaraka particularly, and he had to leave Vrindavan, which was caused, it's a long story, but immediately Akrura came and took Krishna out of Vrindavan to Mathura first, and then he went to Dwaraka. So she is blaming Akrura for creating circumstances under which she could not celebrate these different events in the company, in the personal presence of Lord Krishna. So just a little bit of the purport, introduction to the short purport. At a Griha Pravesh, Srila Saraswati Thakur, in other words, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, would conduct Griha Pravesh ceremonies sometimes. So at such a ceremony, Srila Saraswati Thakur explained the proper understanding of this ritual of entering a house for the first time. And this is now this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta speaking. Those who enter into household life, following the rules of the external world, will be increasingly absorbed in illusion. Means just materialistic people, just ordinary, everyday people who are not devotees. When they enter into household life, according to the materialistic standards, then he says they will be increasingly absorbed in illusion. But entering the Grihastha ashram and Griha Pravesh are as essential for Grihastha devotees as is entering the sannyas ashram for other devotees. It has to be done. It really has to be done. Griha Pravesh should be celebrated only by devotees, not by non-devotees. When a devotee enters his house, we should know that he has actually entered his mat. Mat means like temple, basically. One should enter one's house only for serving and thinking of Krishna and making everything conducive for that. A grihastha, a married devotee, a grihastha should always avoid bad association and gossip. He should carefully nurture such qualities as enthusiasm, determination, and patience, and perform devotional practices like hearing and chanting about Krishna. The essential duties of a householder are to serve Hari, that's Krishna, Hari, Guru, and the Vaishnavas, the devotees. To chant Sri Hari Nam, associate with devotees, and hear about the Lord. If all his endeavors are directed toward Hari Seva, then a householder will definitely benefit, be protected, and fulfill the purpose of life. Isn't that interesting? And important, extremely important. Particularly right at the beginning, you remember? Entering the Grihastha ashram, or in other words, going through the process of becoming married, and the Griha Pravesh, entering the house, are as essential for Grihastha devotees as is entering the sannyas ashram in due course. So let's just say a few words about these things. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Dejatarane Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, so Griha Pravesh. Although it's not really so much something which we really, at least within ISKCON, like strictly perform. Although, I mean, it is definitely done. It's definitely done. But it's a very important thing. Those last words we just read just now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is speaking, and he's making the point that for the householders, for the married couples who are devotees, because he says Griha Pravesh is not for non-devotees, it's only for devotees. So it is as essential to enter the house nicely and establish the house nicely in very Krishna conscious ways. It's as essential for the householders to do these things, to do this thing, as much as it's essential for devotees who are going to take the sannyas ashram, the renounced order of life. It's as essential, it's just essential for the householders as much as for a suitable person to enter the sannyas ashram properly and nicely and really become established in that way. So we should remember this, because some of you in the future will also be entering houses, I assume, some new house. At least the young ones in due course. And it's really important, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is emphasizing, for not just, we're moving into a house and it's a nice house, it'll be comfortable and the facilities will be there. In this way we'll live material life comfortably. But the griha, the house for the devotees, is a sacred place. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, we also read that the house becomes like a mat, M-A-T-H-A. It means a temple, but not just a temple. A mat really means a preaching center. That's what a mat is, as opposed to just a place of residence. So the devotees, Madhavananda Prabhu, Madhavi Vijay, Devi Dasi, where is she? Here?
No, she's cooking.
Oh, she's cooking. Okay. That's nice. Yeah. So, anyway, they're very committed devotees. I've known them a number of years now. And they're committed devotees, Madhavananda Prabhu, very dedicated and devotee with nice qualities, humility and like that. So, here we are in the house. Theoretically, you could move in tonight. But it's okay. It's okay. When you're ready and when the house is more ready, but at least we're setting the scenes, sort of the roots, so to speak, or the foundations at least, are really being set by this program. So devotees, I mentioned the other day, we were in somewhere. We were in Mont-Saint André, and we had a program where we focused on the 5 main devotional activities as described by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami in the 22nd chapter of the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, Sri Mauritius, Shraddhaya Sevan. So we talked about this, some of you maybe were there. Mathura Vas literally means to live in Mathura, to actually reside in Mathura. Mathura is a sacred place, although it's sort of kind of developed into a fairly substantial city now and industrialized and all that. They have this huge oil refinery in Mathura. So traditionally, though, it was a sacred place where devotees would gather and do so many wonderful devotional activities. So Mathura Das, we were talking about this the other day in Mont Saint André in our temple there. And I mentioned how in Durban, South Africa, where I'm based, there is one family of devotees. And family means the grandchildren, the children, and the grandparents. All 3 generations are living together in this nice, not a very big house, but just a nice house. And in that house, they have a temple room, which is it's just the temple room, it's not anything else. The altar is there. And in that place, that room, it's a little bigger than this room we're in now. Somewhat bigger. And it has some very small windows. Otherwise, it's just walls and ceiling and floor. And the altar. But what really struck me when I visited that place is that on the walls, well, put it this way, you cannot see the walls, because there are pictures of Krishna and Lord Ram, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, particularly Lord Krishna, completely covering the walls, completely. So you cannot actually see the wall as such. And that really struck me the first time I went in there. But even on top of that, devotees and friends, listen to this, you cannot see the ceiling because it's also completely covered in pictures of the Supreme Lord. Really very striking. And very nice, actually, because, you know, you have friends and relatives and family, and you go and visit them from time to time. I'm sure every year, during the course of a year, you visit quite a number of houses of people who are close to you. And what do they have on the walls? Well, in some cases they have pictures, or at least a picture of, I sort of jokingly call him Shahrukh Bhai. You know who I mean? Shahrukh, Bollywood. And others. What? The others? Aishwarya and Abhishek, etc. Or if the family is a bit more westernized, then maybe they have on the walls pictures. You know, you get these paintings of mountains and rivers and lakes and forests, or bowls of fruit or bowls of flowers. This very ordinary sort of picture on the walls. But this particular house I was mentioning, anyway, I described it. Now, you know, I'm not necessarily suggesting, Madhavananda Prabhu, that you cover the walls 100% and the ceiling. But in principle, should make sure you get some nice pictures, some paintings or photos or whatever of the Supreme Lord, maybe of sacred places like Govardhan Hill, etc. They should be in the prominent places, in the sort of public areas, so to speak. So when people see them, then it's something which is actually spiritually enlivening, encouraging, spiritually. So, you know, I'm confident they'll do something along those lines. I don't expect, you know, whenever I come next time, to come in and see a bowl of flowers or a bowl of fruit on the wall. I mean, maybe we could. It's to be offered to deities. But really something more Krishna conscious would really be in order. And in this way, the house, of course, amongst ordinary people, just materialistic people, they make the point that there's a difference between a house and a home. House meaning just, the walls and windows and doors, etc. And home meaning a place where the family, the people live and their lives are being really supported by the nice atmosphere in the home, and not just the house, not just the building and its bricks and cement, etc. So I'm sure when we come back after a while, we'll see it'll be like that. And that will create the atmosphere of a mat, of like a preaching center, temple preaching center, a place where Krishna consciousness is actively and very nicely practiced, preferably by the whole family, preferably as much as possible by the whole family. Of course, you get families where some of the family are involved spiritually, or they're religiously inclined, and some others are not so much. But anyway, devotee families where everyone's a devotee and happily engaged in service to Krishna, then what a nice atmosphere is created. It's really so nice. And in the evenings, well, like say in the mornings, hopefully the family gets up nice and early, and then come into the temple room and have a morning program together, made up of different Krishna conscious activities. It depends, on how much time they have, what other responsibilities they have, if they have to get to work early or that sort of thing. But it's nice if an arti can be performed, and then the family members can chant on their japa beads. Normally Hindu people, they have some japa beads at home. These are my ones. Tulsi beads. And yeah, like I say, nice to have such beads at home and to use them. They're not just to be looked at. Like we distribute sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 18 books, big books, which are shrink-wrapped. And so many, thousands of families around the world, many thousands, they've bought sets. And then they put them on the bookshelf, maybe in their temple room, assuming they have one. Oftentimes, usually they do. And then we come back a year later to check, is the shrink wrap still on them? Or have they taken the shrink wrap off? Which would at least indicate they may be reading them. So all these things sanctify, purify, and make auspicious the lives of the family members. Make auspicious and just make better the lives of the residents, the family members. And so then the house is no longer just a house, it's a home, but it's more than a home. It's like a temple or mat. and also having regular programs whenever is practical, inviting neighbors, inviting other devotees, friends, family members, etc. And having Krishna conscious programs. We were at the house last night, some of you were there, of Shamachandra Prabhu. There he is, in his house. And how many people were there? I don't know, 40 or 50 or something?
About 75.
75. And the majority were related to him, right? More than half, well over half, were actually related. So we had a program, and I was speaking as I'm doing here. As usual, I went on a bit too long, but anyway, we're repeating the spiritual subject matter, so it's always beneficial. Yeah. And I saw at the end, so many of these people came up to speak to me, quite a number of them, and otherwise just in general, by just looking at them, observing them, I saw so many of them were really happy. They were really pleased, and it was just so good for them. So, please take these points into consideration and have programs, whenever. Once, you could have it once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, once every couple of months. It depends on your circumstances and who may come and where they are and all that. But this will create auspiciousness in not just an abstract way, but in a real tangible way in the hearts, minds, and lives of those who participate, and particularly yourselves. Yeah. Because doing like this, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said as we read, doing these types of things is as important for a householder devotee or the family, the devotee family, as the relevant, similar in principle types of activities which must be performed by a sannyasi or a member of the renounced order of life who's in a, really quite a different situation in life. Yes, so therefore, everyone who's here, Hare Krishna to you all. And when I come back, because I'll be back, it's not a question of if, it's just when, but I'll be back, and I'll be looking out to see you all. Yes, it's going to be really nice. Really nice. So, everyone, the thing is this, in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, let me just find the particular verse. It's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 10. Oops, just a sec. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 10. Let me read it. First of all, I'll read the Sanskrit. Sahayagya prajasrishtva puravacha prajapati anena prasavishyadvam eshabho stavishta kama duk. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures, means all living entities, sent forth generations of men, humans, and demigods, the devas and deities, along with sacrifices for Vishnu. And he, the Lord, blessed them by saying, be happy by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. So actually the Supreme Lord at the beginning of creation created this world and filled it up with people and animals and trees and just living entities of all different types, and things which can be used in the process of sacrifice. Sacrifice in the sense of offering to the Supreme Lord. And then he blessed everyone that you be happy by performing these activities of offering things to the Lord in different ways. Because, well, you'll be happy for the time being, but in the meantime, step by step, leading up to the conclusion of your life, in the meantime, you'll be happy, and at the end, you'll achieve liberation. You don't have to take birth again in this material world. Otherwise, you do have to take birth again, and sure, who knows what your situation may be. Maybe it'll be something similar to now. Maybe it'll be something really different. Yeah, particularly if you get involved in inauspicious activities which are not helpful, spiritually helpful, and helpful in the sense of developing character, real human character, and not just living like, with all due respect, a sophisticated animal. Animal life means eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If you look at animals, basically, practically any animal, they're either eating or trying to find something to eat, or they're sleeping or just lying down, preparing to sleep. Mating and defending their positions, their situations, that's mainly what they do. And human beings who do not really have a sense of relationship with God, they're basically doing the same things in more sophisticated ways, but still they're basically the same things. Eating, not just catching another animal and eating it, or just eating the grass or something like that, but rather going to the supermarket and getting eatables there. Sleeping, the animals generally, they just lie down wherever they are and sleep. Human beings have very nice bedrooms with very nice beds, with color-coordinated sheets and pillowcases. If you follow what I mean. And mating, instead of just grabbing a member of the opposite sex, human beings, there's this whole process of courting and, associating, and boyfriends and girlfriends, and then some marriage, and so on like that. And defending the animals use their teeth and their claws, and we use our guns and bombs, but it's the same thing. Yes, so really, people, and particularly householders, because the householders, practically everyone is a householder. The householders should cultivate spirituality in their lives. And in this way, live happily themselves, but also create good examples for the people in general to see that, look, these people, they're devotees of Krishna, but they're living so nicely. What a nice atmosphere. What nice people. What nice children. Very well. Yeah. Very well. Yeah. So anyway, my prediction here, I'll make a prediction, that Madhavananda Prabhu and Madhavi Vijay Devi Dasi, when they do move in here, they'll make it just a very nice, very welcoming atmosphere and a very warm spiritual atmosphere. So people who come in and visit will feel that and be benefited by it. So this is what we're doing today, our Griha Pravesh, entering the house. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And what's our program? What is it? Oh, it's coming up to 1. हमारा program क्या है? RT. Okay. Here, right? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So let's just get ready, and then everyone can stand up for the arti.